And right off the bat, we get to see half-naked Snake. Wonderful.
It's been a long time, Snake.
So long, no one even remembers what an MSX is anymore.
That's no way to greet an old war buddy, Snake.
What do you want from me?
I just invited you here so we could have a talk.
You know, friendly, shirtless chat. It's all the rage these days.
Sorry if they were a little rough with you, but we've got a serious situation here.
So serious, we don't mind pissing you off by sending guys to beat you up and then drag you through Alaskan weather without a shirt.
You're not my commander anymore, and I don't have to take orders from you or anyone else.
Thank you for the exposition,
You will
Snake.
take these orders. I know it.
Excuse me.
Who's this?
I can't tell because she's off screen.
She's chief of Foxhound's medical staff and an expert in gene therapy.
We'll put expert in
Are you
quotes.
military?
No, civilian. I've been sent here from ATGC. Pleasure to meet you, Snake. Don't worry.
Ugh.
This injection won't hurt a bit.
What's the shot for?
What's wrong? You don't like shots?
Most people don't, lady. Also, don't avoid the question.
It all went down 5 hours ago.
Crazy party, am I right?
At Shadow Moses Island, a remote island off the coast of Alaska.
What soldiers?
Next generation special forces.
They were all muddy and brown and moved at 30 frames per second.
They've presented Washington with a single demand. And
Lots
if
of
they say that it
booze.
isn't met, they'll launch a nuclear weapon.
A nuclear weapon?
Yes, Snake, you just said a nuclear weapon. Thank you for confirming
The
that.
island is the site of a secret nuclear weapons disposal facility.
Foxhound hijacking a nuclear weapon?
They're too incompetent for
Now
that.
you understand how serious the situation is. You'll have 2 mission objectives.
1. Don't fuck up.
First, you're to
2.
rescue the
Still
Sergeant
don't fuck
Chief,
up.
Donald Anderson. And the president of Armstech, Kenneth Baker. They're both being held as hostages.
Those are some heavy-duty hostages.
Secondly, you're to investigate whether or not the terrorists have the ability to launch a nuclear strike.
We just go through this whole thing. Ah, damn it, you found out we were just pulling your leg all along. Oh well, guess we have to leave.
Well, you can make up your mind after you hear more about the situation.
Also, when you have armed men pointing guns at you, that will probably be crucial to your decision.
Tell me about the nuclear weapon disposal facility.
The disposal facility includes a hardened underground base. Even with our most advanced intelligence gathering equipment, we can't tell what's happening inside.
We tried peering through the
Someone needs to
windows, but they
penetrate,
put cardboard in
gather
front of them.
intelligence and report back.
So,
Sounds like a spy
we're
movie.
fuck out of
What's
ideas.
the insertion method?
Well, an air insertion is impossible.
Not with this storm going on.
We'll approach the disposal facility by sub.
Approach?
Yes, within a few miles of it. The facility is equipped with sonar detection capabilities. They'd be able to hear our engine or propeller noise.
And then
We'll launch a one-man SDV.
launch.
Same as a torpedo, only this has no propulsion device of its own.
Have you ever seen
After the
Flintstones,
SDV
Snake?
gets as
You
close
kinda
as
have to
it
do
can,
that, except
it
with a
disposes.
submarine.
From there
They
on,
can't
you
hear
can
that,
swim.
trust us.
You want me to swim in sub-zero Alaskan water?
Don't worry. That suit represents the latest advances in polythermal technology.
You'll be all snug and warm, and we assume you won't die of hypothermia. Hopefully. If you do, please stave it off until the day after you complete the mission.
This is a one-man infiltration mission.
Weapons and equipment OSP?
Yes, this is a top-secret black op. Don't expect any official support.
If you look over to us, we'll just be whistling and looking in the other direction.
The chief of DARPA and the president of an arms manufacturing company. What business did they have at a nuclear weapons disposal facility?
The truth is that secret exercises were being conducted at the time the terrorist group attacked.
Must be extremely important exercises if those two...
Nah, they were just doing jumping
Were they
jacks.
testing some kind of new advanced weapon?
I'm not privy to that information.
Do we know exactly where they're being held?
General
The data was also
vicinity.
injected with the mini transmitter. As you get closer, you should be able to pick up his location on your radar.
Do they really have the ability to launch a nuclear missile?
I assume.
They They even gave us the serial number of the warhead they plan to use.
Yes, we got such a lucky guess on that.
I'm afraid so. At the very least, they've got their hands on a real nuclear warhead.
And I mean, even if they can't actually launch it, maybe they'll just throw it really hard at us, and that might work. We don't actually know how any of this nuclear device stuff actually functions. We just assume it's dangerous.
Permissive Action Link, the safety control system built into all nuclear weapons systems. But even so, we can't rest easy.
Why not?
Because the DARPA chief knows the detonation code.
But even if they have a nuclear warhead, it must have been removed from its missile. All the missiles on these disposal sites are supposed to be dismantled. It's not that easy to get your hands on an ICBM.
That used to be true. But since the end of the Cold War, you can get anything if you have enough money and the right connections.
Hey, you know, I know a few people. Can you give me a nuclear warhead? Oh yeah, sure, that's totally a thing we can do.
So what exactly are they demanding?
A person's remains.
Just any person?
That's right. To be more accurate, cell specimens which contain the individual's genomic information.
Cell specimens? Why would they want that?
The terrorists need them. You see, these next-generation special forces have been strengthened through gene therapy.
Their genes were going through some really hard times, but after therapy, they're doing pretty well.
The human genome, and they're nearly finished. Following up on this research, the military has been working towards identifying those genes which are responsible for making effective soldiers.
There are genes that do that?
Yes.
Sure, why not?
Gene therapy, they're able to transplant those genes into regular soldiers.
And then they'll be all buff.
I'll explain this part. With gene therapy, we can remove those genes which we know may lead to sickness or disease, and at the same time splice in genes with beneficial effects, such as resistance to cancer, for example.
Yeah, I know. Oh, good thing we already have something to prevent cancer. I mean, if one of us got cancer, that would be terrible. But good thing we can prevent that whole thing. Right, Naomi? Right.
Perfect soldier, you could implant them in the same way, right?
Sure, why not? Everything works in Metal Gear Land.
To isolate and identify those soldier genes.
And in order to do that, it's helpful if you can study the genomic information of one of the greatest soldiers ever.
And we're not going to actually specify that just yet. Why would we?
One of the greatest soldiers ever?
The man they call the greatest warrior of the 20th century.
You don't mean Big Boss.
That's
Because
right.
I kind of
We've
killed
been
him
working
twice, and he
feverishly
was
to
kind of a
identify the
wimp.
genes responsible for his incredible combat skill. So
Where
far,
am
we've
I?
discovered about 60 of the so-called soldier genes.
So his body was recovered after all.
Yes.
I set it on fire. How did they do that? Did they just get like a pile of ash or something?
Treasure to mankind.
Priceless to the military, perhaps.
His body was burned severely, but it was possible to restore his DNA
Pretty
back from
severely.
just a single strand of his hair.
You people are amazing. And then you're gonna transplant those genes into soldiers?
Oh my goodness, so Snake
We'll use the
missed
process
burning
that I
one of his
discovered
hairs, and then they just picked that up and were like, oh yeah, that's Big Boss's hair. We're gonna use this to create the greatest soldier of all
We now
time.
know that hereditary factors are far more crucial for creating superior soldiers.
Snake, we can't give them his body. It
Or
would take
his
us
hair.
more dangerous than all the nuclear warheads on that island put together.
I hear the terrorists are calling themselves the Sons of Big Boss.
The sons of Big Boss?
And more on that next time.
What's the time limit?
24 hours. They say they'll launch after 24 hours.
Do they say what the target will be?
So far, they
Just
haven't
anywhere, you
mentioned
know.
the target.
I don't really care that much where we land this thing, just whatever works. Okay, well, that's all there is to that.
Colonel, who are you speaking for?
Naturally, I'm representing the U.S. government.
So who's in supervisory control of this operation?
And why is there a giant beam of light right there?
Which means that the
Is
president
that
must be meeting with his
important?
top aides in the
Is it
map
gonna
room
hurt?
about now.
Can I touch it?
No, at At this point, they're still video conferencing with each other.
If that's a real nuclear warhead, shouldn't they issue a COG?
Not yet. The Secretary of Defense has operational control and is fully aware of the situation.
He's just not doing anything about it. Says he doesn't feel like it.
A COG will be issued.
Well, if they haven't relocated to the nuclear shelter under Mount Washington, I suppose there isn't that much reason to worry yet. Is the National Security Agency in on this?
Yes. So is the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency.
The DIA?
The DIA.
Bad feeling about this.
They'll be sending us some support.
We don't need desk jockeys. We need
Oh,
a nuclear
yes, you
weapons
do.
Of
specialist.
course. A nuclear weapons
Yeah,
specialist has already
of
been
course
assigned
we
to
have
us.
a nuclear specialist. Why wouldn't we have one of those? Naomi's onto us. Quick, get a nuclear specialist. Go, go, go.
We need backup from a specialist. I'm just an amateur when it comes to nuclear weapons.
I know. That's why I've requested the assistance of a military analyst named Nastasha Romanenko. She'll be providing you backup by Kodak.
Also, here's her backstory. Snake, I know this is backwards for you, but kind of try to read it, just to be polite, you know? You want to know a little bit about her. Make some small talk, Snake.
She's
Come
also an
on,
expert on high-tech
be
weapons.
friendly.
Where's she working from?
At her home in Los Angeles.
Did you know you can make $12 billion just from your house? I do it every day. Not a bot. Don't ban me, please.
How well armed are these terrorists? I know there was an
I got some guns.
They're heavily armed, I'm afraid.
What about their battle experience?
The 6 members of Foxhound in charge are all hardened veterans.
The rest of them are kind of shit, though.
I wouldn't expect anything less from Foxhound.
The others
What,
are
nail eating? That just
special
kind of sounds
forces.
weird.
They're not your average grunts either.
Yeah, sure. Nope, man, that's all there is to that.
Tell me about these next-generation special forces.
They started out as an anti-terrorist special ops unit, made up of former members of biochem units, technical escort units, and the nuclear emergency surge team. Their purpose was to respond to threats involving next-generation weapons of mass destruction.
And now they
including
are the
Until
threats.
they were added, that is.
Who's they?
These
Who do you
guys
think?
didn't start out as regular army.
Looks like a pretty international group. Mercenaries?
Yeah, and it gets worse. Most of them were from a merc agency that I think you're familiar with. They were part of Big Boss's private guard. And after Big
To be
Boss went
fair, his
down,
private
the
guard
military
can't be
just
that good
bought
if
out
he's
all their
dead,
contracts.
right?
Outer heaven.
After that, they were merged with our own VR unit, Force 21, and retrained.
We didn't think that would be a problem at the time, but, whoops.
Forces should be called simulated soldiers. They have no real battle experience.
Video game players, huh?
I love the sheer contempt in his voice. Ah, it's those fucking video game players. I hate all of them, and they're all fuckers in their own unique
I
way.
thought using genetically modified soldiers was prohibited by international law.
Yes, but those are just declarations, not actual treaties.
The interesting thing is that nearly every member
interesting
of the unit
thing?
was inspired in this attack.
Colonel, you can't be hip. I'm sorry, you're just too old for that.
How could an entire unit be subverted to rebellion?
They're calling
Boredom.
it a revolution.
Since they all went through the same gene therapy, they probably
They're
felt
buddies.
closer than brothers. They see the unit. as
They're all buddies. They go out for ice cream constantly, you know. They're almost always going out for dinner.
Interviewed periodically by army counselors.
According to their files, they all got straight A's on their psychological tests. They all seemed like fine, upstanding, patriotic soldiers.
But they all took part.
It's always the massive, quiet
Several
ones.
people didn't show up on the day of the exercise. That's why there was a resupply of troops.
Was there any sign recently that something might be wrong?
There was a report a month ago that they were acting strangely.
Apparently they consulted classified information about the soldier genes and performed their own gene therapy experiments.
They can do that even without
We just
you?
thought we'd let them do that, because, you know, sometimes we need to let them go and grow
And
on their
besides
own.
that, they're all geniuses with IQs over 180.
Yeah, over 180, just to keep that in mind.
The highest order. We've been hoping to investigate this thing quietly and deal with it behind closed doors.
No follow-up to that.
High-tech Special
Yeah.
Forces Unit Foxhound.
Snake, you're a little
Your
close.
former unit, and one that I was a commander of.
Briefly.
Elite group combining firepower and expertise. They're
So
every
they
bit
have
as
guns
good as when I
and they're
commanded them.
competent. Good to know.
So they're still around.
There are 6 members of Foxhound involved in this terrorist activity.
Here's a picture of them posing at the
with
Foxhound
powerful
Company
psychic
picnic.
abilities. Sniper Wolf, the beautiful and deadly sharpshooter. Decoy Octopus, master of disguise. Vulcan Raven, giant and shaman.
Don't giant shame.
Revolver Ocelot, specialist
The best
in
one.
interrogation, and a formidable gunfighter.
Looks like a lovely bunch of folks. Too bad we'll be meeting under these circumstances.
And
I'd really like to talk
in
to them
charge
over
of
tea or something.
Foxhound squad leader, Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake.
He's a recolor of you,
Yes.
Snake.
And you're the only person who can stand against him.
I respond to that with an intense stare.
Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake.
The man with the same code name as you.
Tell me what you know.
He fought in the Gulf War as a teenager. The youngest person in the SAS.
It was part of his rebellious age. It was kind of a weird time for him. His parents were kind of confused.
Didn't you infiltrate Western Iraq with a platoon of Green Berets?
I was just a kid myself back then.
The details are classified, but it seems that originally he penetrated the Middle East as a sleeper for the SIS.
He was a spy for the British Secret Intelligence Service?
But he never once showed his face in Century House.
He always had a paper bag over his head.
And after that, there was
We
no
assumed
trace
it
of
was
him for
because he thought he was
several
ugly or
years.
something, and we felt kind of bad for him.
Retired, he was rescued and became a member of Foxhound.
I thought that by the time I left, they were no longer using code names.
I don't know his real name. That information is so highly classified that even I can't look at it.
They sometimes dangle it over my head, but then they just draw it back.
Pretty shocking, huh? His skin tone is different, but otherwise you two are exact duplicates.
Just take our word for it.
I don't know the details, but it seems so. That's why we really need you for this mission.
You're the only one who can beat him. Now that I've met you, I know. You've got something that he doesn't. I can see it in your eyes.
That
Why
doesn't
don't
tell
I
me
find
anything.
that thought more comforting? Colonel, I don't work for the government anymore. Let me go back to Twin Lakes.
Why, Snake? Is your life in Alaska all that great?
Kinda, yeah.
Dog sled race this week. Next Saturday, I have to be in Anchorage.
The Iditarod? The longest sled race in the world? When did you become a dog musher?
Right
When
now,
I
my
left.
Husky Huskies are my only family. I've got to take care of them.
Don't worry about your dogs.
We shot half of them and are taking care of the rest, but we are technically kidnapping them. We didn't exactly know which method we need to use to convince you to join us, so sorry if either one offends you.
Will accept this assignment.
Why should I be stupid enough to do that? I'm no patriot.
Snake, there's enough dirt in your file from your days as an agent to keep you in the stockade until you're a very old man.
Oh, I see. Blackmail.
No, Snake. I prefer to look at it as helping you come to a decision more easily. But anyway...
Also, I'm kind of an asshole.
You take this assignment even without the threat.
Why do you say that?
Which is why we're
You're a
threatening you right
natural-born
now.
Soldier. You're not the grow old gracefully type. It's the same for all of us who've seen real action. The only place we can feel truly alive is on the battlefield. I'm a soldier too. I know those feelings
Since
of
when?
powerlessness, frustration that you feel every day. You've tried to play the Boy Scout out there in Alaska, but you can't race dogs in the snow forever.
Great way of convincing him to come back. Just insult everything about
Be a
him.
soldier again.
You think my life is some kind of a joke?
Snake, I just want to give you back your purpose in life.
I assume it's fighting and murdering hundreds of people and not, doing dog racing. That just sounds boring or something. I don't know.
Colonel, you're retired. Why are you involved in this?
Because there aren't many people who know Foxhound as well as I do.
Is that really the only reason?
I've been soldiering for a long time. I don't know anything else. I guess even though
I have never seen you on the battlefield once, Colonel.
Colonel, you're a lousy liar. Tell me the real reason.
Okay, Snake. Sorry. I'll be frank. A person very dear to me is being held hostage.
Who is it?
My niece, Meryl.
Okay, well, that's all of that.
What was your niece doing here?
Several soldiers were reported missing the day of the revolt. And my niece was one of those called in as an emergency replacement.
She looks like you.
She's my little brother's
She
girl.
does?
He died in the Gulf War.
Just less old?
Since then, I've been watching after her.
A personal motive, Colonel. That's not very soldierly.
I'm retired. I'm just an old man now. And I'm your friend.
Since when are we friends?
I've thought of us as friends since the fall of Zanzibar.
Do you not feel the same way, Snake? Is that why you never return my calls?
That's what I trust about you. It's what makes you human. Please, Snake. Save my niece, Meryl.
All right.
Pretty pleased with the sugar on top.
I have two conditions.
Name them.
One, no more secrets between us. I want complete disclosure at all times. And two, I'll only accept orders directly from you, Colonel. No cutoffs involved, okay?
Agreed.
Also,
That's why I
don't
was
change
called.
your frequency a million times like you did last time. That was really
I'm not a
annoying.
colonel anymore. Just a retired old warhorse.
I understand, Colonel.
And that's all of that.
That doctor, is she part of this operation too?
She was in charge of Foxhound's gene therapy. She knows more about those men than anyone else.
You mean you've seen them naked?
Ugh.
Make no mistake, I'm not a nurse. I'm a scientist.
By the way,
But yes, I did see
what was
them
that
naked.
injection for?
It's a combination of nanomachines and an anti-freezing peptide so that your blood and other bodily fluids don't freeze, even at subarctic temperatures.
Nanomachines.
Not just one kind.
Nanomachines.
There are different types which will replenish the supply of adrenaline, nutrition, and sugar in your bloodstream.
And also they do a lot of other shit, but I can't keep
I also
track
put
of all
some
of it.
nootropics in there.
Say what?
Nootropics. A class of drugs which will help improve your mental functioning.
It'll make me smarter, huh? Anything else?
I really need that.
Benzedrine. It's a type of stimulant. It'll keep you alert and responsive for 12 straight hours.
That was quite a cocktail. Anything else in there?
Those nanomachines will also keep your Codex batteries charged up.
Well, I guess I can call you when I'm ready to go on a diet.
You're welcome.
I need to borrow your scissors.
What are you going to do?
Don't worry.
Why does she
Just
have
clean myself
scissors?
up a little.
Huh?
I don't want to be mistaken for the leader of the terrorists.
That actually sounds like a good plan, Snake. This is a stealth mission, dude. Seriously, you should... No, never mind. Makes him smarter, my ass. Anyway, so that was the end of those briefing files, and now we're in training mode, where we get to learn about how to play the game. Not really that difficult. This one just introduces the fact that you can move around, and also that you don't want to be seen. So, just hide in this small alcove, and he'll never know that you're here. Just gonna sidle up against the wall. You know, he's a Next Generation Special Forces unit, but that doesn't mean his hearing is all that good. So yes, we just wait around for him to finish, and then we'll just go over here, and boom, mission complete. Easy enough, right? Most of these missions are actually pretty easy, given they're only training missions. There's like one difficult one, and that's kind of overstating it, but whatever. And now we're being introduced to the radar, which allows us to see the enemy cone of vision. Basically just, oh, almost got caught by him there. Don't be too reckless and you'll be A-okay. I don't think that guy will really come into view, so we can just casually run by this dude, and we're done here.
Impressive, Snake.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call that impressive. I can do a basic thing. Woo, good for me. Alright, so this one will introduce crouching and crawling. If you go through there, you'll definitely get caught, but just go under here, and you can sneak through here. Basically, this is just training for all the ventilation shafts we're going to see, because we're going to see quite a few of them, along with various other things we can crawl under. But yes, this one's also fairly simple. Just do this thing and you'll be fine. It does kind of suck, though, because you don't actually have access to your radar when you're crawling, so it's a bit difficult to see where the enemy's coming in from, but it doesn't matter too much because he's not catching us any which way, so we're good here.
Impressive, Snake.
Okay, so this one is basically just combining everything into one big lesson for the time being. Just drops us off and says, hey, just do a thing to find the exit. So we're going to be doing just that. We're going to sneak by this guy, but of course we can also go over the top area. Honestly, that area is probably even easier to go through, because I don't think that guy really moves around all that much. Doesn't seem like it, he's just standing there. You'd think he would look towards the exit. I mean, that's probably the thing you want to guard most of all. I don't know why VR training is just assuming that these guys are all going to be incredibly stupid, but then again, it's not making an incorrect assumption, so whatever. Anyway, this introduces different colored floors and sleeping guards. Certain floors will make noises if you walk or run over them. However, if you crawl over them, they won't actually make a sound. And as such, we won't actually wake these sleeping guards. But of course, the sleeping guards will wake up, and those guys on the top will hear us and run over if we run over this, so don't do it. Just don't. No point. And that's finished.
Impressive, Snake.
You sure can crawl, Snake. Good going, you go-getter. Right, so this is introducing surveillance cameras, and that is actually a good tip right there. There's a blind spot right underneath them, so if you want to get past cameras, just sidle along the wall to get past them. Also, you can hang out sort of near the end of their cone of vision, and they won't catch you, but if you go into the bright yellow sections, then you'll definitely be caught. There are two types of cameras, however, we'll be getting into that later because it's not important right now. Alright, this one's introducing crouching. Basically here you're just going to want to crawl along and then go up against a wall, and yeah, just like that, you'll hide up against the wall and they won't be able to see you. Again, very simple, so this is just sort of a slow mission. I mean, I guess it's kinda useful? Actually, then again, I can't really think of that many times where this function's actually used. I mean, you hide behind things, but you don't really crouch behind many things in this game.
Impressive, Snake.
Maybe I'm just not thinking of something, though, but whatever. That was easy enough. So, next off, we're learning about footprints. Now, there's really nothing you can do about not leaving footprints other than crawling. However, if you crawl, you're going to be way too slow to pass these guards. But this does introduce one very important mechanic, one you're going to want to utilize for certain sections in the game. They will automatically follow footprints, but they won't necessarily know that you're there. They'll just sort of follow the footprints around like this, and yeah, he's not on alert despite the fact that somebody would have to be here in order to, actually produce these footprints, but, IQ over 180, totally. I definitely believe that. These guys are geniuses. Trust us on this. this is also useful. Basically, you just want to go up against a wall and tap on it. Just get right up against here, make some noise, and similar to footprints, they'll just sort of follow it around. You'd think they'd understand, hey, there must be someone here if I heard a noise, but no, I guess they just thought it was one of the other guys playing a joke on them or something. And he just walks slowly over. Good job guarding that dude.
Impressive, Snake.
Again, not really the best idea to assume that all of these soldiers are going to be dumbasses. You'd think they would make them a little more difficult. But whatever, yes, this is the final training stage. And of course, we just want to get right to the exit by any means we can. Those are searchlights. Obviously, if we go into those, we just lose immediately, so don't do that. I think the route from the right, rather, is probably the easiest way to get there. Left isn't so bad, but I kind of got caught there once by accident because I was being dumb, so we're going to take this way because this is slightly safer, though that guy's standing right there, so that's not it's definitely not an exit we can take. Well, actually, maybe you could get behind him and choke him to death, but surprisingly enough, there's nothing in training about that. It would kind of be helpful if we got that tutorial about how we can, kill people in case we encounter anyone. That's kind of a useful piece of information to know. But hey, that's not what we're here for. Yeah, do be careful right here, because he does move kind of frequently, and yeah, he just goes back and forth. He might catch you, especially if you rush this too much. Also, I almost screwed that up entirely by crouching, but whatever. And that made everything we just did worthwhile. Also, time attack mode, we can just do all the stages again, except it'll be tracking our time. You probably know how that works already.